Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep. Today we're going to be covering the 9 Hashira top to bottom regarding their entire life and their powers. Since the Demon Slayer manga has ended, we will be able to answer all the questions you may be wondering in this one mega video. Number 1, how did the Demon Slayer Corp get created?
I don't know.
Number 2, why was the snake pillar in love with the heart pillar? Number 3, how is Ubayashiki related to Muzan?
We don't care.
Number 4, why is the stone pillar considered the strongest? Number 5, why is the wind pillar an edgelord? These and many other questions will be covered. We got everything in this video, so sit back, relax, and get that cup of tea, or if it's not a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. Get some snacks, get some Takis, whatever you want to eat.
We do not care.
And listen to us explain everything you need to know regarding Demon Slayer. Oh, and if you want to learn about Muzan and the 12 demon moons in the same detailed manner, we covered it in this video. It will be in the pinned comment for you. Now, before I explain each and every detail about the 9 Hashira, I first need to get everyone on the same page regarding the Demon Slayer story. Let's begin with the basis of the organization that Tanjiro is a part of, as they play a pivotal role in the Demon Slayer world. At the beginning of the series, once Tanjiro's family was massacred by Muzan, the king of demons, Tanjiro had witnessed the change in his sister, Nezuko. One of the 9 Hashira arrived to eliminate her, who was the Water Hashira, Giyu. This first confrontation between both Giyu and Tanjiro was quite intense, but he read the situation and could see something was out of the ordinary. He assesses the mental mindset of Nezuko and even the potential of Tanjiro becoming a demon slayer. Giyu then recommended Tanjiro to seek training and to not give up and to actually stop being weak, stop being a little sassy bitch, a little sassy baka, actually do something about the mission you want to accomplish, bitch. I'm kidding, he didn't say it like that, but that's the kind of vibes I was getting. Shut the fuck. So he tells him to go seek out his former teacher. Alongside this, he explains the fundamentals of the Demon Slayer core, which is how Tanjiro got roped into the world of demon slaying. However, what exactly is the demon slaying core? Daki, the former teacher of Giyu, explains that the Demon Slayer core is a very old organization dedicated to the sole purpose of eradicating all demons from the face of this planet. It's a millennia-old goal that the organization has strived to achieve ever since it had been founded. And so, ever since its conception, the Demon Slayer Corps had been an independent organization, not acknowledged by the government as an official one, and ordinary humans don't even know they exist. Now, how did a common secret of demons living in a world not come across to normal people for over 1,000 years? Beats me, but it's anime logic, duh. So now you're probably wondering, why the heck wouldn't the government assist an elite squad to take care of a supernatural man-eating beings, right? It's not like the government needs convincing of the existence of such beings, as the core can easily capture weak demons for a showcase. Well, one reason is because the Demon Slayer core has actually been around since ancient times and has been dealing with the problem independently, which was long before any formation or change of government in the first place. How does the Demon Slayer Corps work? As per usual anime organizations that the main protagonist wants to join, if you want to join them, then you would need to take an exam. Now, you won't be studying much for this one, as what you must do is something no ordinary person would be able to prepare themselves for. You must survive for 7 nights on Fujikasane. Okay, I can't even pronounce this. Am I really gonna give this a go? Fujikasane. I gave it a go, guys. Give me a clap in the comments.
No.
Well, you must survive for 7 nights on a mountaintop, which is full of demons caught by the Demon Slayer Corps, in order to test the people taking part. If you manage to live through that, you will pass the exam. As a congratulations thanks for surviving through hell, you get a few gifts. First off is the standard uniform, which are given to demon slayers to stay drippy when killing demons, of course. They're also given the privilege of getting to choose the ore to be used when crafting their demon slaying swords, as it will be the primary tool to kill demons moving forward, of course. If you want to join the Hashira rank, you have to kill 50 demons or kill a member of the 12 demon moons. As an official member of the Demon Slayer Corps, you would need a way to receive your mission updates and navigate, right? Although a phone would be a great solution, there's one tiny issue. Demon Slayer is actually set in the very early 1900s during the Taisho era. So instead of spending their days sending memes to each other on TikTok like we do, they assign a rare bird species known as the Kusugai crows to relay information and will give updates to them. So now you're probably a demon slayer, you passed the exam, you've killed a few demons here and there, you're thinking, wait a second, I want to get a rank up, fam. I want to go to the big bob. I don't know what I'm saying. We don't care. But you guys get the point. I want to be a Hashira. Well, the rank of Hashira is known to be the most elite warriors that occupy the demon slaying corps. They are the top of the top, consisting of the 9 very skilled swordsmen that can't be compared. Each one of the 9 Hashira possess a distinct breath style which genuinely takes years of training. This is to the point where you know that you have mastered the certain breath style as it becomes second nature to you. Urakadaki, a former water Hashira, nurtured Tanjiro's abilities and allowed him to be the one with the water breath style, which Tanjiro, Giyu and Urakadaki mastered. It's also noted that Hashira are constantly looking for their successors, that being one of the many reasons why Giyu recommended Tanjiro to Urakadaki, because these guys be dying out here, fam, because they're going against demons that regenerate and they're scary. So a lot of these guys die really young, so they have to find a successor on top of that really quick. Now, although it takes an average of 5 years to learn a breathing style, talented students take 2 years to master it, and one of them is the protagonist of the show, Tanjiro. Each of these 9 Hashira come with different elements and are swordsmen who are considered untouchable in the ranks of the Demon Slayer Corps. Later in the series, these Hashira go even beyond and are able to unlock the Demon Slayer mark, which gives you multiple abilities. I might also explain what this is and what powers it gives you, because a lot of the 9 Hashira eventually unlock it in their stories. Now, for example, once you have the Demon Slayer mark, you have enhanced physical capabilities. Upon activating the mark, the person is granted superhuman strength, speed, and enhanced breathing techniques beyond that of a normal breathing style user. Their strength and speed could even rival that of the strongest demons, such as the upper ranks of the 12 demon moons, like Kokoshobo. It also gives you the power of the transparent world, where you will be able to see the muscles, blood flow, and joint movements of living beings, allowing the person to accurately predict and react to their opponent's moves. This also gives you vital information to confirm the health and well-being of others, like your allies. This is especially apparent when the Hashira are fighting Kokoshobo, Akaza, and Muzan. One more ability you gain is also hyper-perception, allowing the Hashira to perceive the world around them at a much faster rate, making it appear to them as if the world was going in slow motion. The Demon Slayer mark is also connected to the bright red Nichirin sword that you have to unlock. Demon Slayer marks enable the person to dye their Nichirin sword a bright red color, like the progenitor Yoriichi, the original person that created all the breathing styles and the one person that tried to spread his will to the Hashira going forward for 1,000 years to eventually defeat Muzan. If you do not know who Yoriichi is and what I'm saying right now, you need to watch this video being displayed to you right now. I'll put it in the pinned comment for you. The red Nichirin blade is very important because it enhances your attacks and also stops the regeneration ability that demons possess.
Now with that out the way, let's not forget the leader who runs the Demon Slayer Slayer core. Without such vital information, you guys wouldn't understand the purpose of the Hashira. Our current understanding regarding the chief of the core is that he seems to be quite a mysterious individual, going by the name Kaguya Ubayashiki, or usually called by his nickname Oyakata-sama. What the I don't know what I'm on, right guys, allow me, okay? Now his presence in Demon Slayer is as hidden as the main antagonist Muzan. However, what we do understand of Ubayashiki is that he's been living with a curse, which slowly saps away his life force every day. Apart from the fact that this curse actually kills you, it also makes an effort to do it painfully. This curse has left Ubayashiki with extremely poor health, where the most visible effect of the curse is the skin at the top of his head rotting away, which resulted in blindness. Now this curse was actually given to every child born in the Ubayashiki family since the transformation of Muzan from a human to a demon. Now you guys might be asking why? Why would Muzan being a demon have anything to do with this poor family? Well, the thing is, Muzan is actually from the Ubayashiki family centuries ago, and to pay the price for his sin, the world balanced his crime with this very curse. I guess he didn't just taint his own blood, but all blood that's even related to him. This also ultimately gave the incentive to the Ubayashiki family to rectify the crime of the clan member Muzan, and henceforth the family have been leading the battle against Muzan and his demons for 1000 years. Now as the Ubayashiki clan leaders die rather quickly, due to the curse, they are replaced by their offspring who would then be the next head of the core. This short lifespan also means that every objective and milestones in their life happens much earlier. Kaguya became the head of the clan and effectively the Demon Slayer core all at the age of 4. You heard me, my boy was a toddler while he's running this shit. And at the age of 13, he was married, mind you, to a much older woman who was 17. She was specifically selected by a priest to become Kaguya's wife in order to care for his medical needs. Even with his bad misfortune and poor health, Kaguya is living his best life. He had 5 kids with her, where his son Kirya Ubayashiki becomes the next leader of the core after Kaguya's death. Oh, now you guys must be wondering, Nani? Did Kaguya's curse end up killing him? Well, no. My guy blew himself up. Okay, hold up, just listen. Kaguya, after eventually being confronted by Muzan at his own home, he revealed that he set a big brain trap for Muzan. Anticipating that Muzan will come for him, he set explosives around his mansion, which he detonated, killing himself and his wife with 2 of his kids. Now I know this might be like a crazy thing to do, especially what the frick, he killed his wife and 2 kids. Oh come on guys, his kid's about to die anyways and this guy's a demon. His whole family's mission is to kill this demon. I would have done it. Hey, scrap that, take that shit out, man. But yes, this was a kamikaze move, where to avoid suspicion, Kaguya had to sacrifice his own family. And Kaguya's overall role as the Demon Slayer leader was fundamental to their victory. Even before his sacrifice, Kaguya led the core in one of the most successful era ever after Yoriichi's time. This man was a huge inspiration for all the Hashiras, being able to change their life and help them live on after being devastated by the demons. Kaguya also was the reason why Nezuko wasn't sentenced to death by the Demon Slayer core. Like, considering she is a demon, this actually is a big thing. Kaguya saw the reality of Nezuko's unique situation, which gave hope to Tanjiro. This later had a huge impact to the downfall of Muzan. Now with all this said, I think it's important to lay down the fact that Kaguya did actually possess some supernatural abilities of his own, as he has mastery of a soothing voice, which is him being able to control the tone and rhythm of his voice to ease others around him. This technique gives his leadership a whole new meaning, as even impulsive members like Sanemi, the Wind Hashira, submits and listens to Ubayashiki without resistance. Kaguya and the rest of the Ubayashiki family also has the balls deep prediction. No, I'm just kidding. They also have a heightened sense of foresight. This is like an instinct to accurately predict the future to some degree, very similar to our abilities. But in the Ubayashiki's family's case, this helps everyone avoid extremely detrimental situations, along with gaining advantageous opportunities to garner wealth and fortune. This skill was also very important, that without it, the Demon Slayers wouldn't have had a chance in defeating the 12 Demon Moons during the end of the series, as Kaguya's son Kirya was also trained in using and and directing this ability to their advantage.
Okay, so coming next we have the love pillar, Kanroji Mitsuri. At first glance, she may just seem like your typical fan service waifu, but let me tell you that that is not the case. Mitsuri is much more than just a pretty face and huge boob.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
She has a very hyperactive personality and tends to get carried away with such positive emotions. Her careful and positive nature is very fitting of someone with the title of Love Hashira. Mitsuri, being among 5 siblings, displayed unnatural strength at just 1 year old that could rival most of you guys watching right now. Yeah, that's right. She lifted a rock that was almost as big as her and twice her weight. Her mother was also known for her fortitude and nothing really surprised her, but she was shocked for the first time in her life witnessing her 1-year-old daughter do this. I'm not gonna lie though, I think everyone would be, you know, slightly shocked seeing a baby deadlifting double their body weight. You know, like, let's be honest, you don't exactly see it every day, do you? This strength, however, is due to her having a special muscle composition, making her muscles 8 times denser than that of regular humans. Her muscles are also compressed, allowing her to be strong and also very agile during combat. Due to her body having more muscles than the entire anime community combined, that's a fact by the way, it gave her a massive appetite since her body would need more nutrients to sustain itself. Her hair colour started to change to this pink with green accent colours that was said to be caused by her immense appetite for eating too much sakura mochi. Because of all of these traits, her big appetite, different hair colour and abnormal strength, she was seen as a weirdo and no one really wanted to get near her. Even to the point that her fiance called off their marriage when she was only 17 years old, all because he was worried that his children would be just like Mitsuri. Just think about that for a minute. Isn't that stupid? I would love for my kids to be some superhuman badass hottie like her, like, no man, he's such a dumbass. Anyway, this rejection caused her life to change completely as she began to reject who she really was, dyeing her hair black, skipping meals and pretending to be weak in order to make her more desirable and accepted by others. Her family started to worry about her, but being so focused on others' opinions about her made her forget about everyone else, including her loved ones. After a while, Mitsuri began wondering if she could live her life pretending to be someone that she was not. She started to question her own existence, asking herself if there was someone out there that would love her for who she really is. I know someone. It's me. Can she really be useful to someone? Is there a place for her in this world? This fake version of herself was full of doubt and regrets which negatively affected her mental health. Even if she realised that she can't live being a different person forever, she was able to move forward, keeping her true self locked inside of her, slowly becoming insane. It wasn't until she encountered Ubayashiki that she finally found the confidence to embrace her true self, and he said that she was beloved by God and that she should be proud of her strength. Ubayashiki was the light that Mitsuri needed for her to stop lying to herself and get out of the dark corner that she was placed in for being different. Ubayashiki's kind words were the push that she needed, the trigger for her to move forward and embrace her true self now that she is finally loved by someone. This is when she decided to join the Demon Slayer Corps, to find someone strong that she could marry, as she states. Or so that's how it would seem. But that's actually only half the reason why. Deep inside, she feels like she owes Ubayashiki for saving her from despair, which is why she wants to repay him by helping him achieve his goals, just like he was doing for her. She loved being a part of the Demon Slayer Corps too, as everybody valued her. Even the people she saved would thank her with tears in their eyes. This gave her purpose and meaning to her unique abilities. Her eating problem was even rectified, as with the help of Shinobu and Iguro, as seen in the Demon Slayer One-Winged Butterfly novel, they helped her stop skipping meals. Being a Hashira meant being a human monster with the second nature of wielding a sword with ease, acquiring the abilities no normal woman has. It is said that she always used to stand out of the crowd, thus urging her on to master a breath style assisted by her unusual strength. And thus she became the student of Kyojuro, Rengoku, Rengoku, the Flame Hashira. She tried to learn flame breathing but was incapable of mastering this breathing style because her body was not suited for it, in turn creating a derivative of flame breathing which she later named love breathing. This is how love breathing was actually created. It uses her body's particular muscular density to deliver tremendous blows whilst moving with exceptional flexibility and quickness. It's a style only she can utilize due to her body's unique composition. This breathing style also demands a whip-like katana that can unleash attacks that cover a wide range of motions, as well as long ranges that a normal katana simply can't. This hottie can legit whip you into submission, and I ain't complaining. Her technique is also considered the fastest amongst the other 8 Hashira, as the mobility of her joints being very flexible and the softness of her muscle allows her to go into crazy speeds, as like I previously mentioned, her strength and mobility is incomparable. We saw this when she would quickly and accurately kill the creatures created by Gyoko before they could even react. In fact, she can even attack faster than the Sound Hashira Tengen. Her incredible muscle density also gives her a phenomenal defense too, as seen during her fight with Zahakuten when she survived his compressed sound waves from point blank range that would usually tear somebody apart. During the battle with her and the upper rank 4, she manifested her Demon Slayer mark, which enhances your overall stamina, reflexes, pretty much all of your physical abilities. For her, this mark manifested into 2 hearts opposite from each other and angel-like wings. In her final moments, Kanroji was able to find love, as she passed away in Iguro's arms along with him, as they both pledged to marry each other in their next life as they reincarnate, which we eventually see in the special final chapter of Demon Slayer, which, if you didn't know already, we talked about previously in the video being displayed on your screen right now. Now then, this brings us nicely onto our next Hashira, the Serpant Hashira, Obonai Iguro. He is from a family of thieves who used to serve a demon which they looked up to, as they landed in an immense amount of wealth after robbing a deceased family that this snake demon had previously killed. In order to keep the demon happy and stay rich, his family would feed newborn babies to it. Iguro was actually the first male child to be born into the family for 370 years, which instantly made him a favourite for the demon, as he was unique to the rest of the children that it was fed, as well as also having 2 different coloured eyes. He grew up in a cell, living in constant fear of the demon that would watch over him. Because the demon was so interested in him, she allowed Iguro to live longer than the other child sacrifices so that he could grow even more. She even ordered for his mouth to be cut so it would resemble her own mouth, and so that she could drink his blood. My guy got legit turned into the Joker. He's walking around asking random people, "Hey, you want to know how I got these scars?" Oh, that was the worst Joker ever, man. Oh, I'm not going to be getting cast anytime soon.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Moving on, Serpant Hashira, snaky dude. Being in this cage alone, he would fall sick as the poor ventilation made from the smell of fat coming from the food trapped in with him made him feel nauseous. On top of this, he couldn't sleep due to the sound of a demon snake crawling, as well as a gaze upon him which would cause him to sweat. The living conditions of sickness and fear made him think of nothing more than escaping and surviving. Day by day, he would dig a hole in his cell with a hairpin, until he and his only friend, a snake named Kabamaru, managed to get out and escape. Eventually though, the demon snake had found them, but he was ultimately saved by none other than the Flame Hashira. Because of this escape, however, the demon had eaten the rest of his family, all 50 of them, and upon return, the only surviving cousin of his blamed him for the death of their family. These words cut deep into Iguro and made him devote his life to killing the demons, hoping that one day by defeating demons and ultimately Muzan himself, it it would clear his bloody past coming from his corrupt family. This guy has a very different aura about him, being known as the Serpant Hashira. I know it sounds like some Orochimaru shit, but it's much more different than that. Iguro, like any other character related to snakes, is quite the dark individual. He doesn't really care about anyone that doesn't abide by the Demon Slayer's conduct. However, he actually has a warm side to him. He had a close bond with the previous Hashira, as we mentioned, Mitsuri Kanroji, and fell in love with her at first sight. He said how that when he spoke with her, he finally felt like a normal boy. Whereas before, all the women in his life would treat him differently, making him scared and uncomfortable. Yet Mitsuri accepted him. That being said, he didn't feel worthy to be her husband due to his corrupted past. Even though his character is perceived to be closed, he has abilities that will actually blow your mind. He is the creator and master of the serpent breathing style, where Iguro matches the actions of his swords with the movements of a snake. His form mirrors Mitsuri's movements, but Iguro's technique is much more direct and mischievous, just like a snake. To match this, he also used a twisted Nichirin blade which resembles a serpent, similar to the Indonesian Kris sword that is used in real life. He fights with the snake that I mentioned from his backstory, Kaburamaru. Yeah, that's right, the snake that's round on his neck is not just for decoration. The serpent actually helps Iguro during fights because he is half blind in his right eye. Iguro built his breathing style to work in conjunction with the serpent. That way, the snake can relay information to Iguro as he's battling, covering his blind spots. Even after going fully blind in the battle against Muzan, his snake would still help him in fighting effectively. Kaburamaru also seems capable of understanding human speech and emotions, as he understood Tanroji's instructions to grab Yushiro's paper talisman and later even shed tears when watching Iguro and Mitsuri pass away. Listen, okay, right? I don't know how we can talk to snakes, it just kinda happens. I suppose they've got to fill the quota for a cool snake guy character in anime somehow anyway, so I guess we just deal with it. Iguro has also been seen entering the transparent world, which is a world that is said to be only acquired by the strongest individuals. This world allows you to see somebody's muscles, blood flow, and joint movements, allowing you to so-called see into the future by predicting your opponent's next moves by observing their muscle movements. However, he was only able to access this world for a few seconds during his fight with Muzan. On that note, Iguro was also able to unlock his Demon Slayer mark, but even with this, like I mentioned before, he was only able to access the transparent world for a few seconds, implying that even though he was strong already, he still had potential to become even stronger. During his fight with Muzan, he was able to turn his Nichirin blade bright red, which is also something that only those with incredible strength can achieve. The bright red colour means that the temperature in your blade has increased, which in turn releases more of the sun's power. Making bright red blades is more effective against demons and was imperative in Muzan's defeat. Turning your blade bright red requires an enormous amount of strength, and him just barely being at that state, he almost passed out from the amount of stamina he used all at once. Iguro is a Hashira, which means that he has superhuman speed and reflexes. When Tanjiro was about to be struck by Muzan in what would have been a lethal blow, he jumped in and saved him just in time. He was able to keep up with Muzan's whip assaults for a lengthy amount of time without the Demon Slayer mark's boosts, and yet he still manages to hit the Demon King multiple times. He was quick enough to sever both of Muzan's limbs after awakening his Demon Slayer mark, being able to escape numerous of his blows, drive him into a corner, and catch up to him and pierce his flesh as he was running, even though he was fully blinded. In the end, Iguro's time was cut short during the final fight with Muzan, and like I mentioned earlier, he died along with the love of his life, Mitsuri. Oh, so romantic.
Okay, so now we move on to the Mist Hashira, aka Muichiro Tokito. Now, amazingly enough, he is actually related to one of the most important characters in the entire series. But as a kid, Muichiro with his twin brother Yoriichi would help their father in the woods cut down trees. However, one day his life was changed forever. Remember guys, there is no anime characters that doesn't have a tragic backstory of losing their parents. So let's cue the sad music. His mother died of pneumonia, whilst his father fell from a cliff and died on a stormy day. The end.
Man, quit playing with me, man. No, for real, don't play like that.
Okay, I'm taking a piss. But seriously, because of this, it was just him and his twin, Yuichiro, left. The trauma of losing both their parents affected them deeply, and Yuichiro started to believe that by being compassionate, it only helps yourself, and by being helpful to someone else, it accomplishes nothing. The philosophy of this was brought upon him by the way their father died whilst collecting medical herbs for their mother. However, Muichiro didn't have the same belief as his brother, and instead wanted to live by what their father said about doing something for others, as it will eventually come back to help you too. Living with his brother Yuichiro was extremely tough, as Muichiro always thought that his brother hated him. One day, Amane Ubayashiki confronted the two brothers to bring them into the Demon Slayer Corps due to their lineage. You see, these twins were actually descendants of the Sugikuni family, being directly from the land of Kokushibo, the Upper Demon Moon 1. And for those who haven't watched our detailed Demon Moon video, well, Kokushibo was the twin brother of Yoriichi, the very first user of the Breath of the Sun, who created it and all of its other derivatives. If you don't know who the hell Yoriichi is and why he is the most important demon slayer in all existence, then check out the video displayed to you right now. Again, our playlist will be in the pinned comment section below. Anyways, Muichiro felt excited by the opportunity. However, his brother was quite the opposite. He refused the chance and turned Amane Ubayashiki away. Yuichiro's cold outlook on life was actually his way of protecting himself and his brother, as he put the cause of his parents' death down to overworking themselves and thinking of others. Each time Amane would visit the twins, Yuichiro would reject her proposal and send her back. However, one day, the two of them were attacked by demons, leaving Yuichiro on the edge of death. This made a fierce anger boil inside Muichiro, and from that moment, he went blank. The next thing he knew, the demon was laying on the ground in a mutilated mess, suffering with a crushed head until the sun rose, killing it. This didn't really bother Muichiro though. He didn't care anymore. All he wanted was to see his brother. However, he had died. I'm not gonna lie guys, this is some sad shit.
We do not care.
Anyways, after this, he served the Demon Slayer Corps, slowly switching that kind-hearted personality into more like his brothers. Even though he may have lost his memories from what happened that night, the anger will never leave him, which is why he trained so hard as a Demon Slayer to the point of even vomiting blood. The breath style which Muichiro acquires is mist breathing, being able to strike from the mist formed through his Nichirin blade. His build is said to be the smallest and weakest looking amongst his fellow Hashiras, but in reality, he's actually one of the strongest, and I would say even stronger than the main protagonist himself. Well, of course I'm talking about before Tanjiro unlocks his main protagonist's power. After that, there ain't no chance. But seriously guys, Muichiro is literally a prodigy. He was able to perfect his swordsman skills and be strong enough to join the Demon Slayer Corps at the age of 14, making him the youngest person to have become a Hashira ever in history. And mind you, this was also after just 2 months of training. This boy was such a generational talent that he even created his own technique, which played a vital role in defeating the upper rank 5 demon Gyokko. Muichiro in the midst of battle was able to create the 7th form of mist breathing, obscuring clouds. This technique allows the user to rapidly increase their tempo to confuse their opponent. It appears as slow as a turtle when the user displays themselves, yet moves in the blink of an eye when hidden in the mist. During his fight with the Upper Demon Moon 5, he also manifested his Demon Slayer mark with a mist cloud pattern all over his face. Throughout the fight against Gyokko, Muichiro kept struggling. He was incapable of cutting the demon's head since his opponent was a fish humanoid-like demon who had scales almost uncuttable. In this fight, he gets trapped in his blood demon art, Water Prison Pot. His attempt to break out using mist breathing first form low clouds, distant haze was unsuccessful. As he thinks about his approaching demise, Muichiro suddenly hears his father speaking from Tanjiro's body. The swordsmith Kotetsu swiftly arrives to provide him with a breath of air, and he is then able to break out using mist breathing second form. But during this life and death moment, Muichiro's memories start flooding back, starting with his father's words, who said the same thing as Tanjiro had earlier on. The anger over his brother's death manifests into his Demon Slayer mark. His speed and ability drastically increases as he goes in to attack Gyoko. Muichiro unlocked his Demon Slayer mark and combined it with his 7th form of mist breathing. He was able to overpower Gyoko and cut through his scales that are said to be harder than diamonds. Again, keep in mind that he's still 14, so it hasn't even been a year since he joined the Demon Slayer Corps and is able to improve so fast in a short period of time just because of his naturally gifted talent. Muichiro's skill set doesn't even stop here, as later on, against the fight with the Upper Demon Moon 1 Kokushibo, Muichiro also boasted excellent spiritual strength, as he was able to calm himself down in just moments in the presence against such an evil monster. Like, let's be real, everyone else would be shitting bricks in front of this demon. And to add to this, during his fight, Muichiro was able to access the transparent world, as well as to also turn his sword bright red. Kokushibo was so impressed by his descendant enough that he was going to personally recommend him to Muzan so he can become a demon. However, after being one of the 3 Hashira to play a key role in defeating the upper rank 1 demon, Muichiro sadly died from the injuries he suffered. Upon dying, he was reunited with his twin brother Yuichiro, who was both sad and angry to see Muichiro join him in the afterlife at such an early age, as he never got to learn what he was born for. However, Muichiro disagreed, saying how he did know, and that his reason for living was to be happy, and the moments when he was the happiest were the times he spent with his family and friends.
Next up out of the 9 Hashira is a sexy beast. Oh wait, why did I just say that out publicly? Cut this up. But anyway, you can't deny that this guy looks good. He's arguably the character with the most drip in the entire series. Tengen caught my attention when he was introduced into the series. Just like Rengoku, the Fire Hashira, Tengen's personality is centered upon being very flamboyant and eccentric. He likes to make things beautiful, and due to this he has 3 wives.
What?
Yeah, you heard that right, 3 wives. My man has 3 wives, whilst there's some of you out there, some of us like me, struggling to find one.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
But I guess Zenitsu's holding the fort down for every one of you. Jokes aside, Tengen has quite the horror of a backstory, which shouldn't really be a surprise anymore, to be honest. If you got to this point of the video, let me know if you have in the comment section below. Honestly, the more horrible the backstory in Demon Slayer, the weirder the Hashira will be. However, for once, a demon was not involved in the murder of his loved ones like every other character, because it was the children themselves who killed each other. Tengen grew up as one of 9 children in a shinobi clan. 3 of the kids had died before even reaching the age of 10 due to being overworked whilst training by their father and the other ancestors. The remaining 6 were blindfolded and ordered to kill each other by their father. Because of their blindfolds, they had no idea who their opponents were, and it wasn't until Tengen had killed 2 of his brothers that he caught onto his father's sick plan to find out who was the strongest amongst them and who could be the progenitor of their clan as a shinobi. By the age of 15, only he and 1 brother remained, and so their father forced them to undergo harsh training so they could rebuild the clan's reputation after it had fallen. He tried convincing them that their innocent lives were disposable and the only reason they should have a wife is purely just to reproduce. He was basically raising the kids to be nothing more than murderous, soulless animals. Tengen, however, saw through this and decided to leave the clan on a permanent basis, taking his wives with him. Tengen's family practices polygamy, so when Tengen turned 15, he must have 3 wives, who were chosen by the head of the clan. After leaving the village with his wives, he would later teach them to value themselves before the mission, going against their teachings as Konoichi. For a while after he had left the clan, it became a habit for him to say that he was going to hell, but he stopped after Makio got angry with him. Hinatsuri cried and Suma bit him. He anguished over whether he should have exterminated the Uzui clan, his own family, but he couldn't bring himself to kill his father or brother. After abandoning his clan with his 3 wives, he sought out Master Ubayashiki and climbed the ranks of the Demon Slayer Corps, becoming the Sound Hashira. The breath of the sound is a breathing style style created combining his heightened sense of hearing. His musical score technique is also involved, as this is mixed with his shinobi expertise and anti-demon bombs. Musical score technique allows Tengen to deconstruct his opponent's movements into sound waves and rhythms. By doing so, it creates an opening for him to strike his opponent just like a beat to a song. In conjunction, he uses anti-demon bombs made of gunpowder that plays its part as an accessory when defeating demons, which complements his explosive and flamboyant personality. He has honed his hearing to the utmost level, being able to use echolocation as an advanced application of his hearing. Tengen got forced into training hard as a descendant of a ninja family. This training was harsh but also very useful, as he developed an immunity against poison. Tengen is also really good at being extremely stealthy, to the point where he would not make any noise nor disturb the air in the environment. Not even disturbing air, fam. Tanjiro, with his protagonist powers of having incredible sense of smell, nor Inosuke with his extreme sense of touch, could detect Tengen because he's a shinobi. He fought with dual Nichirin cleavers, a weapon that was said to have killed anyone Tengen had landed a blow on, until of course he fought Upper Moon 6 and he survived. Now, saying all of this, and I'm hyping the guy up, he's featured in Demon Slayer Season 2, we're all thinking about, wow, this guy's gonna be strong. Well, he's not. The Sound Pillar is actually one of the weakest Hashira out of all of them. He doesn't have the Demon Slayer mark, Red Blade, or any other unique ability that others unlocked as the story went on. In his fight against the Upper Demon Moon 6, Gyotaro's poison had spread throughout Tengen's body, resulting in his inability to speak. As he lays down dying, Nezuko intervenes and uses her blood demon art to burn the poison out of his system, allowing him to rejoice with his wives. Once the Hashira Obonai arrives at the scene, he tells him that he is officially retiring from the Demon Slayer Corps and assures him that the trainee he hates so much has grown strong enough to fill the void in his absence when he leaves. This is all alluding to the protagonist that we know, Tanjiro. Tengen ends up of course being right, because at the end of Demon Slayer, after Muzan's defeat, he celebrates with Tanjiro and the others on their victory and enjoys his life with the wives happily ever after, and they all become really good friends. My man took the credit for the victory. I didn't do shit. And he gets 3 wives on top of that and lived his life, got old age, had kids, lived his life, fam. My man had one of the best endings in the entire anime. He got to live.
Next up, we got Sanemi, the Wind Hashira. Most of you guys, however, probably know him as the edgelord who stabbed Nezuko. But there's much more to it, and there's a reason he was so adamant about it. But firstly, I have to point out that he is actually Genya's older brother. If you guys don't know who Genya is, basically the guy who eats demons. Sanemi was the eldest son of 7 children and lived with both of his parents. Sadly though, the father would abuse his children and wife. But one fateful night, he died by taking a stabbing by someone who had a grudge against him. He was a terrible person and karma hit him right in the face. Regardless, Sanemi and Genya decided to take it upon themselves to support their mother and their siblings. But again, fate had decided to pave a dark path for the 2 brothers, as their mother failed to return home, so Sanemi left to search for her. He eventually found her, but realized that she had become a demon. Not being able to stop her, she returned home and killed 5 of his siblings. However, before their mother could kill Genya, Sanemi tackled her through a window onto the nearby street, armed with only a knife. This is where Sanemi got his iconic scar across his face. His own mother gave him these scars that ran deep even up until adulthood. Sanemi was also born with Yoriichi blood that is equal to 100 people. This blood is so potent that it disorientates demons. So when Sanemi's mother had a taste of it, she became intoxicated, subsequently giving Sanemi the chance to kill her. But Genya, who had found his siblings bleeding out, at first believed that they were attacked by a wolf. As he went out for help, he saw his mother dead beneath his brother. Sanemi killing his mother in self-defense made him look like a murderer in the eyes of Genya, who had not yet understood that their mother had become a demon. So witnessing the death of his mother, he screamed, calling Sanemi a murderer, and this is where the brotherly bond ends up heartbreaking. But guys, don't worry, please stick around till the end of the video because everything comes full circle to make their love shine through it in the end. But anyways, at this point of time, this caused Sanemi to abandon his brother and run away, embarking on his own suicidal mission by fighting demons after demons. Even without knowing what the Demon Slayer core or what a Nichirin blade was, Sanemi was still able to fight and capture demons, keeping them captive until sunrise by just using blades in his defense along with utilizing his Yoriichi blood to his advantage. Even though he was in search of death and was fighting demons night after night without much knowledge, a combination of luck and his special blood kept him alive. This domino effect then led on to Sanemi training to be a powerful swordsman after meeting Masachika Kumino, a demon slayer. After completing his demon slayer training, Kumino died in a fight alongside Sanemi against a lower rank 1 demon. This tragic death of his friend is what gave Sanemi the determination to make the step and become the Wind Hashira. Sanemi's fury over his friend's death was also then directed at Ubayashiki, who he accused of cheerfully issuing orders from above whilst demon slayers bleed and die for his cause. To his astonishment though, Ubayashiki gracefully accepted the criticism before mentioning Kumino by name. Kanei then informs him that Kaguya has learned the names and backstories of every single demon slayer who had died since he became the commander. How, you guys might be thinking? Well, that's because he's subscribed to Anime Balls Deep and has that notification bell dinged. If you guys want to be knowledgeable as the Ubayashiki leader, then you guys know what to do. Smash that like button and ding the notification bell to stay updated with all our content going forwards. But this balls deep knowledge and care that Ubayashiki had gave Sanemi some newfound respect for the Demon Slayer core leader, especially after discovering and reading Kumino's will, which was delivered to him by Kaguya himself. But now coming to Sanemi's abilities and skills, his style is wind breathing, which replicates a cyclones of attack as he can move like the wind by falling from the sky with numerous attacks on his opponent, giving him the rightful position as the Wind Hashira. However, he was able to master this breathing style, and with his insane flexibility, he can utilize wind breathing better than anyone else could. You could even say that he's moving with the wind. Now before we go into how the Wind Hashira actually unlocks his Demon Slayer mark, I want to mention that even though the Wind Hashira seems tough to deal with, especially towards his brother, it's actually out of love. Now throughout the story, it's illustrated that Genya is trying to ask for his brother's forgiveness for reacting the way he did when his mother was killed. After realizing his error, Genya purposely joined the Demon Slayer Corps all in order to reconcile with his brother. However, Sanemi responds negatively to this, making us believe that he is angry at Genya, but in reality it's quite the opposite. Sanemi's perspective is explored during the Hashira training arc, where all the students had to fight him head on until they were unable to continue. When it comes to Tanjiro's turn, Sanemi attempts to frighten him by stating that he has not yet accepted Tanjiro, to which Tanjiro responds that he has not accepted Sanemi either, since he was the one who stabbed his sister Nezuko. This response leaves Sanemi impressed by Tanjiro's guts and gives the first leeway between the two. Later, Tanjiro comes in on Genya attempting to communicate with his brother during one of the rare gaps, but Sanemi fiercely reprimands him, telling him that he has no brother and to quit pestering him or he will rip him to pieces. He continues stating that Genya should resign from the Corps due to his inability to apply breathing methods, and then walks away. Genya is heartbroken by his brother's statement and approaches him, expressing his desire to apologize for accusing his brother of killing their mother, but Sanemi shrugs his words away, urging him to go. At this point, Genya reveals that he even ate demons so he could fight and come this far. In hearing this news shocks Sanemi, who loses his mind, being ready to stab his brother's eyes out. But Genya is rescued by Tanjiro's intervention, who pushes him out of harm's way in the nick of time. Sanemi states that he will leave Genya in a state where he's unable to regenerate, and then he can leave the Demon Slayer Corps. Once he is out, then he will forgive Genya. In reality, once death is knocking at the door for both characters, Sanemi reveals that he wished Genya never chose the path of the Demon Slayers, wishing he would have just settled down and have a normal family. During the fight against the Upper Demon Moon 1 Kokushubo, he apologizes to his brother Genya whilst he crumbles away. Genya sacrifices his life in order to succeed, as without Genya and his unique technique of eating demons, there was no other way for them to defeat Kokushubo, and since he trapped him in place, he was able to prevent his healing and left an opening. In the end, it was Genya who fulfilled the role as a protective brother and a demon slayer, exactly what Sanemi was trying to achieve for him by protecting him all this time. Sanemi cries his eyes out, telling him that he never once troubled him and that he can't die before him. He begs God to help him and bring back his brother. Despite this seemingly bad blood between the two siblings, Genya still thanked Sanemi for protecting him, showing that deep down he knew his seemingly abusive nature was his way of keeping him safe, and the Wind Hashira was always actually a nice person, probably even the nicest person ever. The exterior he showed was just a gimmick. It was also during this battle that Sanemi manifested the Demon Slayer mark, which resembles a windmill on his right cheek. He was also able to make his blade bright red during the fight by clashing his swords with the Stone Hashira's weapon, thus turning both weapons bright red. This is the peak of a Demon Slayer in the terms of strength, as the bright red sword stops demon healing and makes abilities amplified. Later on, during Muzan's fight, he used the exact same strategy in order to replicate the same result, and it worked out for them. Sadly, after defeating Muzan, Sanemi actually passed away, as he saw the rest of his family in heaven. However, he also noticed his mother was not allowed amongst them due to her harming her children. Sanemi then decided that he would want to go to hell alongside his mother, as it was too soon for him to go see Genya in heaven. However, before he could, his abusive father stopped him, instead taking her to hell with him, whilst also telling Sanemi it's not his time yet, explaining that Sanemi actually should thank him for all the abuse he put him through because now he's extra tough, and because he's tough, he's able to defeat Muzan. Well, I don't know the logic there, but you know, I guess for him abuse is okay. And thus Sanemi regained consciousness and managed to survive, probably still thinking what the heck his father was on. Sanemi then became the final Wind Hashira ever, as after the battle against Muzan, the Hashira was disbanded. Seemingly everything he went through brought out the softer side to Sanemi, as he even apologized to Nezuko and saw an after image of a young Genya in her as he reminded her of him. In many ways, even though Genya was dead, all the remaining Demon Slayers became his siblings. Anyway guys, that's it for Sanemi.
Next up, we have the strongest Demon Slayer out of the 9 Hashira, Himejima. The Stone Hashira is labeled to be the strongest out of the 9 despite being blind. Talk about being a Chad. With no eyes, he still surpasses them all. Like what? The Stone Hashira Himejima raised 9 orphans in a temple alone. They were all together as a family in harmony. The temple was always prone to demon attacks, so Himejima would burn wisteria incense to try and ward off any attacks. Himejima set rules to the children for their safety, as he was older and wiser to inform them of how scary the outside world truly was. He cared for them deeply and wanted them to have fulfilling lives despite being orphans. But one night, an orphan decided, you know what, I want to break the rules of the temple, and then they ventured outside, only to be immediately compromised by a demon. Like, bruh, didn't he tell you not to do that? You literally compromised the whole temple for selfish desire and ignorance? Not only did this child do this stupid mistake, in a selfish act of self-defense, the child also led the demon to the temple so the demon could feast on the other children and Himejima instead. So he erased the wisteria incense and allowed the demon to attack the temple. 4 of the kids immediately died, and the 3 others were killed in the dark of the night as they ran away, disobeying Himejima's orders to stay behind him. In fact, only 1 orphan child had survived, hiding behind Himejima. In chapter 135, he brutally punched the demon into a bloody pulp. This is the fight where the Stone Hashira got his famous scar on his forehead, and he also realized, wait a minute, I have frightening amount of power, an unusual amount of strength that ordinary humans do not have. He stated to Tanjiro, the feeling of punching a living thing was like hell. I can never forget my disgust. For the first time, I swung my fist with my full might, with a power frightening even to me. If a demon had never attacked, I would never have known my own strength. Eventually, help had arrived at the temple, and things got even worse. The last remaining child, Seo, created a misunderstanding by stating that man is a monster. Everyone. He killed everyone. The stupid villagers thought she meant Himejima and not the demon. So the people didn't bother to investigate the claim or find out the truth. They pinned the blame on Himejima, claiming he was a monster who killed everybody rather than being a selfless man that was trying to help orphans. This betrayal by the hands of the ones he spent years protecting broke Himejima and made him grow to view children as selfish individuals, and also made him lose trust in everyone in the world. This attitude is showcased whilst the Hashira discuss what to do with Tanjiro and Nezuko. Because he was framed for the murder, Himejima was sent to prison and was also to be executed if Ubayashiki had not intervened to save him. Upon being saved from death row, Himejima then became the Stone Hashira at 19 years old. Of course, this means that he mastered all 5 forms of the breath of stone. He wasn't the one who created this breathing style, he was taught by the previous stone pillar. We see Himejima's past catch up to him in the present, even the way he views the world. For example, he takes pity on Nezuko's form, that it was a shame she was born into this world, and upon hearing Tanjiro's determination, he says that it is a pity how obsessed Tanjiro is and that they should have killed him to release him from his suffering, which pretty much emulates how he must have felt due to his own past. This highlights the stark contrast between before and now. Now, due to him being blind, Himejima's hearing became much stronger. His incredible sense of hearing allowed him to even be able to hear the sound of regenerating demon flesh, and he also uses the sound of his chains on his Nichirin weapon to detect its location and use that information to guide his axe and spike ball towards the desired place it needs to be. During the Hashira training arc, Himejima says that the most important thing that the body needs to become the strongest is the limbs, and his training was geared to strengthening the limbs. He explains that his training consists of only 3 things: training underneath the waterfall, carrying 3 logs on one's shoulders, and finally pushing a large boulder through a nearby town. Tanjiro noted that he could sense that Himejima was the strongest demon slayer and stated that the rock Hashira was the only one who had a different scent from the others. Tanjiro eventually completes his training with the Stone Hashira, and Himejima talks to Tanjiro about his actions in the Swordsmith village, which was prioritizing the villagers over his sister. He believes Tanjiro is a true swordsman. However, Tanjiro states in response that the choice was actually made by Nezuko and not himself, and thus he could not accept Himejima's compliments and acceptance as a swordsman. Upon hearing this, the Stone Hashira is left impressed by Tanjiro's honesty. Remember, in his backstory, the reason he was thrown into prison and despair and was given this harsh life was because the children lied about what happened and there was a misunderstanding. Himejima states that he has now fully accepted Tanjiro after learning that he is honest, and then he proceeds to tell him his backstory incomplete. Now, when it comes to their powers, he is able to access the transparent world, but in a slightly different way. Of course, Himejima is blind, so when he enters the transparent world, he is not per se seeing their movements with eyes. He is in fact sensing their movements, something that he obtained by honing his other senses. You know the drill. It's when one of your senses are gone and then your others become superior. You know, Daredevil. His most useful sense is his sense of hearing. With this, he was even able to distinguish Muzan's regeneration sound and could tell the tremendous speed that Muzan was regenerating at. He uses a big chain which has a spike frail on the other side of the chain and an axe on the other end. He was capable of turning his weapon bright red with the help of Sanemi during their fight against Upper Moon 1 and Muzan. He was also able to awaken the Demon Slayer mark, which resembles a cracked stone fissure-like pattern on both his forearms. Not only that, he also had the ability called repetitive action, which is a technique that allows you to increase all your physical abilities by repeating a set of predetermined movements. That, combined with his total concentration breathing, allowed the stone pillar to increase his physical capabilities, which allowed him to stand his ground against Kokushibo in a one-on-one fight. When we move on to the last fight against Muzan, the King of Demons, in the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc, it begins with Ubayashiki making a self-sacrifice in an attempt to weaken Muzan. Himejima is the first Demon Slayer to arrive, chopping off Muzan's head before it regenerates. Himejima warns the others that this is Muzan and that decapitation will not kill him because he tried and it did not work. Himejima also mourns Ubayashiki's sacrifice. Now, as they prepare to strike, Muzan teleports Himejima and the others to the Infinite Castle. Himejima, Tokito, Sanemi, and Genya face the upper rank 1 Kakushibo as their first opponent. If you want to know the full story regarding that, watch our 12 Demon Moon video. The battle is incredibly difficult and time consuming, necessitating the combined power and dedication of all the 4 Demon Slayers at once just to defeat Upper Moon 1. In this encounter, Himejima is particularly impressive, matching Kakushibo blow for blow and fighting through quite serious wounds to win. Himejima is then compelled to fight Muzan after overcoming Kakushibo at great personal expense. In the next Sunrise Countdown arc, Himejima appears to save the Love Hashira Kanroji by blocking one of Muzan's tendrils. Himejima and Muzan then trade blows, revealing that he can keep up with the Demon King only on instinct. Himejima finally gains access to the transparent world in this fight, allowing him to face Muzan on a level playing field. The fighting continues, with Himejima ultimately landing attacks on Muzan, particularly in very strategic locations, making enough damage for Muzan to actually get scared. Unfortunately, in an encounter as the fight continues, Himejima's leg is eventually crushed, putting him out of the fight. Once the fight ensues and the healers try to help Himejima, they declare that he is no longer able to fight due to the blood and limb loss, so the healers decide to cure the others first. Now, when you think everything is lost, they're down for the count, what are they gonna do? The fight eventually continues for a few more chapters, but then Himejima comes by constraining Muzan's gigantic newborn form. Himejima is able to cling onto life and deliver one more gift to the Demon Slayers to succeed in their mission. He chains Muzan and gives them an opportunity to actually end the fight. In the aftermath, once they actually win, Tanjiro has enough time to destroy the baby form, and Himejima passes on, escorted by the other orphans that see him in the afterlife, and they go to heaven together. They forgive him and he forgives them in a very loving manner. Goodbye, Stone Pillar. You were the strongest. I'm kidding.
How dare you!
But yeah, when the Stone Pillar dies, everyone basically cried, and it's very sad. He will do a power scaling video in the future.
Now, honestly, we don't know much about our next Hashira, except one thing, that he is the GOAT! The next Hashira we're going to talk about is Kyojuro Rengoku, the successor of the Flame Hashira. Rengoku is really an eccentric character, regardless of the horrors he faces as a demon slayer. He manages to maintain his enthusiasm just like a burning fire, being overexcited about even the smallest of things, always having a smile on his face. Rengoku was the successor to his father, the Flame Hashira before him, Shinjiro. He also had a younger brother who he would train alongside under his father. Afterwards, Rengoku continued to grow in strength until he achieved the title of Flame Hashira for himself. However, even with success, Rengoku's father continued to act unimpressed and uninterested. This is something that hurt Rengoku deep down, but he continued to persevere. Rengoku, when compared to the other Hashiras, instantly reminded us of the difference in levels within the Demon Slayer Corps. Rengoku not only inspired the next generation, but was also a staple player in the current one, and it's actually fair to say that he was probably one of the strongest. If we look back to the Rengoku Gaiden one-shot manga, we get a better look at him before he even became a Hashira. Rengoku, of Kinoe rank at the time, went head-to-head against Hyro, the previous Lower Moon 2. This was a hard-fought battle, but Rengoku came out victorious after thinking back to his family and the belief that he was strong to protect those weaker than him. He unlocked the 7th form of flame breathing and put an end to Hyro, and this was a demon who even slipped away from his father's hands. This ideology was given to him by his mother's final words before her death. These words stayed in Kyojuro's heart and drove him to be the Hashira. He believed in his mother's words so much that he was willing to go against his father's changing ways. This is why he taught himself the flame breathing style so that he could use his strength to fight the weak. The true feelings behind Rengoku's actions are heavy on the heart because it is rooted in the foundation of the cycle of life and death. The strong protect the weak, meaning that new life, babies, children, or even just the youth in general is protected by the people before them, the strong. It is a heavy pressure on those who have strength, but Rengoku was someone who approached it with bright smiles and no regrets. But for now, let's break down what Rengoku was actually capable of. Since his father stopped teaching him, Rengoku had abandoned the idea of having a sensei and instead read the 3-volume flame breathing instruction manual to develop his technique. So Rengoku pretty much taught himself flame breathing and was able to become a Hashira off pure self-taught experience, making him a genuine genius. This level of understanding of the breathing technique is due to Rengoku's high sense of perception and thought processing. His high-level intellect was natural and gave him many advantages as a demon slayer. For example, Rengoku could sense demons extremely fast and could even tell what their regeneration levels were just by perceiving them, nothing else. He even has healing techniques down. When Tanjiro was injured, he could tell he had gut injuries and damage to his blood vessels, so he was able to accurately teach Tanjiro how to heal those wounds, enough to get help for them later. His power is immense, even being able to go head-to-head with the 3rd Upper Moon Akaza. Although he was fatally wounded after the fight, his technique of the flame style was second to none. This technique is so strong that he can create tremors in the ground alongside causing trains to go off track. He can do all that, and he was yet to perfect his techniques and was so close to access the realm of the strongest as stated by Upper Moon 3 Akaza. He has an indomitable will and spirit greater than the other Hashiras. This increases his mastery of the sword since his heart, as Rengoku puts it, burns bright and with passion, driving him forward and to greater heights. He also possesses superhuman movement, which allows him to keep up with Upper Moon 3's high-speed blows. If Rengoku didn't die during his fight with Akaza, he would have most likely been able to awaken his Demon Slayer mark and enter the transparent world, making him equal if not stronger than Gyomei. So next up on the list, we have the number 1 Demon Slayer waifu. That's right, it's Insect Hashira Shinobu Kacho. Shinobu is a sadistic character that finds fulfillment in others' suffering. And I know that some of you watching right now are into that shit, don't lie. I know y'all been watching that Demon Slayer live action, you know what I mean.
You naughty.
Anyway, Shinobu was born as the youngest daughter within the Kacho household, living alongside her mother, father, and older sister Kanae Kacho. She was raised in a loving and caring household until her parents were slaughtered by demons right before her and her sister's eyes. Every backstory is the same. Luckily though, she was saved by the stone pillar Himejima. This event caused the two of them to become demon slayers so that they could protect the lives of others from experiencing the pain the sisters had been through. This event also shaped Shinobu's personality as a demon slayer, where she has a very relaxed demeanor on the outside, even claiming that she wants to get along with demons when we first see her in chapter 41. But this is just part of her sadistic charm, as right after claiming this, she slaughters the spider daughter demon. She was even about to kill Nezuko without hesitation if it wasn't for Giyu. This hatred was not only fueled by the murder of her parents by the hands of demons, but also of her sister Kanae. Her tranquility is just masking her intense anger for demons. Even Tanjiro sensed this when they were holding a conversation. All she could think about was defeating demons. After becoming a demon slayer, Shinobu and her sister noticed a slave child being taken away, much to Shinobu's disregard. But her older sister Kanae purchased the slave and named her Kanao and made her their Sugoku. This is where the close bond between Shinobu and Kanao, which we see now, came about. After the passing of her older sister, Shinobu then became head of the butterfly estate, where she treated all of the children there as her own sisters. Her technique, Breath of the Insect, requires her to cover her Nichirin blade with wisteria poison, just like a deadly insect would, and she strikes her opponent with even the slightest of cut, could be major damage depending on the dosage. Shinobu is the one who created the Breath of Insect, a form that derives from the breath of flowers, which itself derives from the breath of water. Breath of Insect has 4 forms, which all complement Shinobu's use of poison during battle. This is greatly beneficial to her, as she doesn't actually possess the physical strength to go toe-to-toe with a demon and behead it. So instead, she uses her medical expertise to come up with the wisteria poison solution instead. She even mentions in chapter 142 during her fight against Doma, the Upper Moon 2, that she feels inferior to all the other demon slayers because they all got thick muscles and strong bodies, which makes her feel less effective in combat. However, like Rengoku, Shinobu possesses an indomitable will. This is due to her great hatred toward demons. She also has a keen intellect, being able to figure out how much poison and what mix she should use against a demon during the heat of the battle. It later turns out that she did predict her death at Doma's hand. Thus, with the help of Tamayo, she had begun to intake and absorb wisteria flower poison regularly for over a year in the hopes of that if Doma consumes her, he will also devour 37 kilograms worth of wisteria poison, which is nearly 700 times the lethal amount. She hoped this would be enough to kill the upper rank, or at least weaken him enough for him to be slain by her allies later. Ultimately, Shinobu's plan works out, as Kanao, along with Inosuke, managed to sever Doma's disfigured head from his body, fulfilling her revenge at last. Inside the limbo, Shinobu and Doma's head are conversing with each other. Doma finally shows emotion by saying he has fallen in love with Shinobu, and he proposes that they go to hell together. Shinobu is last seen with her sister Kanae and given their blessing to Kanao, before happily reuniting with their parents in the afterlife. She was also able to create cures for many types of side effects of poisons that demons inflict into the Demon Slayer. When she teamed up with Tanjiro and Yushiro, they were able to successfully create a cure that would turn demons back to human. She was the reason that Muzan was nerfed and was weakened heavily for all other Hashira to kill him. If it wasn't for her poison and cure against demons, there was literally zero chance for any of them to win. Okay, so now we finally gotta talk about Giyu Tomioka, the successor of Urokodaki and the current water pillar. He's already had a massive impact on us from the beginning. As soon as we saw him on the screen, we were instantly hooked. The way he read the situation against Tanjiro and Nezuko, the strength, the power and empathy he showed made him an instant fan favorite. Tomioka's personality is how shall I put it? He kind of got that Sasuke, the Yuno vibe, you know what I mean? The edginess alongside the vulnerable side. You know, even Shinobu agrees with me where she says that he's not liked by many because kind of a loner, let's be honest.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
He doesn't speak much and seems to have trouble interacting with others. This makes him quite unique, especially right after us talking about all these flamboyant personalities and Hashiras. And let's not forget how he protected Nezuko, a demon from Shinobu, while every other Hashira seems to have deep hatred against the creatures who have wronged them. He only hunts the demons who have hurt and killed humans. But it's not like Giyu didn't suffer because of demons either, as his sister was murdered by one and his whole family shunned him as they took him for a mentally ill kid for spouting nonsense about demons and tried sending him away to live with a relative. However, he knew what he had seen and yeeted out on the way to his relative. Being on the verge of death since, you know, he was a little kid who had never survived alone, he was taken in by Urokodaki. Being the student of Urokodaki, he became best friends with Sobito, the same guy whose spirit helped Tanjiro figure out how to cut the rock in half in order to take the final selection exam. Giyu and Sobito took the final selection exam together, but only Giyu came out alive as a demon slayer. Giyu laments that he doesn't deserve the title of Hashira or even to be called a demon slayer, as he never really passed the final selection exam. Sobito was the one who defeated all the demons and Giyu was just protected throughout the exam. The survivor's guilt is the reason for Giyu's stoic and cold exterior. Maybe this is why he doesn't have so much hate for demons who wronged him in the first place, as he's too busy blaming himself. But when push comes to shove and the people he cares about in the present are threatened, Giyu becomes a different beast. When Akaza ambushed him and Tanjiro in the Infinity Castle arc, he became enraged by Akaza's threats towards Tanjiro, allowing him to manifest the Demon Slayer mark and gaining the upper hand against them. Although Akaza overpowers his 11th form of water breathing, the Death Calm, and Tanjiro is the one who beheads Akaza in the end, Giyu defends Tanjiro, risking his life into unconsciousness. Although he has great care for his comrade, even being the Hashira to vouch for Nezuko's safety as a demon, Giyu does not hesitate to defend his friends from Demon King Tanjiro during the final fight against Muzan. He is the first one to declare that they must take Tanjiro down, his brother from another mother. Finally, after the battle against Muzan and the demons is won, Giyu has also overcome his survivor's guilt and embraces the happy side of life, evident through his smile alongside Nezuko, Tanjiro, and Urokodaki in chapter 204. Now let's get into Giyu's water breathing style. We've seen multiple times in the anime Tanjiro putting the water style into its full extent. For example, switching the breathing patterns. This makes the user more agile with each strike he takes. Tomioka has mastered all 11 forms of this, where the technique increases the amount of oxygen in his blood, which will then open up the accessibility to the other various forms. Water breathing is originally supposed to have 10 forms, but Giyu created the 11th form, Death Calm, all on his own. This is something the other Hashiras were not able to do. During the fight against Muzan, he was also able to turn his sword bright red with the help of Sanemi, the same way he did with Gyomei. Just like Rengoku and Shinobu, Giyu possesses an indomitable will that allows him to keep going and never give up, even after suffering so much damage during the fight with Akaza. Okay guys, so that's about it for Giyu and all the Hashiras in Demon Slayer. If you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe and become a member and join the premium Discord where we're playing games, promo party, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.